I'd like to bring the September 5th, 2023 Township Committee meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, by faxing notice of this meeting to the Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger on January 6, 2023, and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and Star Ledger on January 9, 2023. Mr. Cheek?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Schenker? Dr. Witherspoon?
Here.
Mayor Patali?
Here. Moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. Guest presentations, we have none. Proclamations. We have proclamation, the month of September 2023 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas this year approximately 288,300 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in the United States alone. 1 man every 2 minutes, and roughly 34,700 will die this year from the disease, about 3,500 more than 2020, which is 1 man every 15 minutes. And whereas in New Jersey, an estimated 9,460 new cases of prostate cancer will be diagnosed, and an estimated 730 deaths will occur in 2023. And whereas men with relatives, father, brother, son, with a history of prostate cancer are twice as likely to develop the disease, and whereas prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in American men and the 3rd leading cause of cancer death behind lung and colon cancer, and whereas 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, and 1 in 6 African American men will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. Overall, African American men are 1.7 times more likely to be diagnosed with and 2.1 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than white men. And whereas veterans who were exposed to herbicides like Agent Orange are at increased risk for developing prostate cancer and are more likely to have an aggressive form of the disease. And whereas education regarding prostate cancer and early detection strategies is critical to saving lives, preserving and protecting our families, as well as the economic and social burden of prostate cancer is huge on families. And whereas, if caught early, prostate cancer has a 5-year survival rate of nearly 100%. However, for the late-stage prostate cancer, the 5-year survival rate is 31%. And whereas many more men will be diagnosed in 2023 at a later stage because of delayed screenings and treatment due to COVID-19, and whereas all men are at risk for prostate cancer, and we encourage the citizens of the Township of Hamilton to increase the importance of prostate awareness and screenings. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Mayor Carl Batali, do hereby proclaim the month of September 23 to be Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in the Township of Hamilton. So the little story on how this kind of came about. My brother has prostate cancer. So he went in to get operated on, and the next day I got an email from whatever entity it is that, brings prostate cancer awareness, about having this proclamation. So I called Rita and asked Rita if we already had this done. She said no. So I was kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say happy or excited to do this. But it made me think about my brother. My father died from prostate cancer. So as I read that, looks like, I'm pretty much doomed. But, through the years, I worked really hard to get money donated for breast cancer and brain cancer, probably brought in around $50,000 between two friends that I had. And, a good friend of mine said to me, you know what, Carl? You did all this stuff for breast cancer and brain cancer. You're probably going to get some other kind of cancer. You could have donated all that money to that, and maybe you would have been saved. But, you know, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So that's why I kind of make jokes about stuff like this. So it's pretty neat for me to be able to do this. So I'll take a picture of it. My brother's down in Florida, and I'll send that to my brother, and hopefully it brings a smile to his face and makes him fight a little bit harder. So that's my my little story for that. So thank you very much. Moving on. Addition, deletion of late agenda items to be considered for action tonight. We have 3C, discussion of the cannabis RFQ process. Do I have a motion to add this?
Motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it.
I recuse myself.
Okay. Got that, Rita? Early public comment on agenda items.
We have Bruce Stry for 3C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Glad to see that you're going to be discussing the RFQ process. I was a little disappointed that it was an afterthought rather than a regular agenda item. But I think while this needs to be discussed, and because there's a lot of tweaking to do, I think it's equally, if not more important, to discuss the number of licenses. Right now, by ordinance, it still stands at 81. That's almost an obscene number for this township. I think Summers Point the other day in the paper didn't want any, and that's just one that was a recent development. Secondly, the locations is equally, if not more important, than the process and the number, specifically 24 in the industrial park, for each class. I don't know how much thought really went into the 24 licenses, but if you look at the surrounding area, you've got, and I probably can't list all of them, but you have 3 schools in the industrial park. You have an assisted living. You've got rehab, drug rehab centers. The county has multiple facilities. You've got a church, Chancellor's Place, Mays Landing Village. I think if you go out from a radius, that is probably the absolute worst spot in the township that you could put the most number of cannabis-related businesses. Most importantly, the people that use that park, all the students, the parents, the people who live there, meaning assisted living, the drug rehab, most people don't even know what's going on in there. There were, I think, 6 properties that have been recently sold or are under agreement by the Industrial Commission. I opened the minutes. Minutes have not been available or have not been approved since January. So it's, I don't know if that was intentional. I hope not. But certainly, the sales were announced, I think, not too long ago. But the details, you can open the agreements, and there's questions about that. So the industrial park, you really need to look at whether or not this township wants to go ahead and place any type of cannabis-related business in there because of the number of people that live there and the surrounding areas. So I think at some point you're going to have to talk about that, not just the process. Thank you. Yes. Now, one other thing. We do have a process in place. It's called the normal, regular planning board and zoning board process, which has worked for years. And the transparency is great. In this process, there's a number of steps where if you look at the process that was presented, you don't know who's on the committee. You don't even know the definition of the terms. For instance, when it says the township reviews, you don't even know what township means, whether it's a committee or a group of people or individuals. And not only that, our township professionals are not involved in that process, meaning the engineer and planner, until way into the process where approvals have been made to advance these licenses before our township professionals even get involved. Mr. Malley and his law firm, to date, have been billed and paid by the township over closer to $400,000 in fees that have been paid by the taxpayer to advance the applications of applicants for these licenses. So under the normal criteria, the applicants pay for these applications, their own attorneys, their own lawyers. I don't understand, and maybe you can explain it when the time comes, why the township has been billed and paid $353,000 as of a couple months ago. It's probably getting closer to $400,000. I think that's an outrage, and I think it's something that everybody in this township should know. And this came directly from your accounting department. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Anybody else?
That's it.
That's it. Discussions. Formal action may be taken. Discussion, advertising for a full-time community development director. Our previous community development director resigned, and we were lucky enough to have Phil step in and fill that void for a while. But as we move forward and keep trying to get some businesses in here and other things that we see, we find that we need that full-time employee. That's how I feel about it. This is what, and this is a discussion between us. If anybody has any ideas, what you'd like to see, I'm kind of pushing towards hiring another person to do this instead of using, Triad or somebody like that to do this. I think we need somebody that's going to be here on a daily basis, in that office, able to take the phone calls, able to answer emails right away, and also to start looking into selling our town, getting to know all the different businesses that we have, walking around and having a relationship with them, find out what they need from us, what we can do to help them.
I was going to add, I didn't see where, I don't know if this is possible, for the community development director to look for developers and convince them that Hamilton Township is the place to be. I don't know how that works out. Is there any search that's done by the community developer? Also, what about his ability to write grants, or make sure we have the proper grants to go through in order to add to our present community? So those are the two things that I thought were important, and in addition to what was written here.
Judy, are you saying like grant writing ability and whatnot, make that condition of?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you that,
Yeah.
that grant writing is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were mentioning about going out and looking for people, so I attended a function up at Rowan, and being there, I ran into a couple of people that gave me a lot of information about some other things, and we need somebody that can go to these functions, that can I believe you all see it. We get emails all the time, being invited to various functions at different places. And, it's networking and going out there and meeting these people. If we don't have somebody there to sell our town, then it's just not going to happen.
A example would be the league that is set up by the county. It's the we used to have like the Merchants Association, but they really increased the number of people that they knew that, as you say, by networking, by talking, they really could sort of find out instead of just sitting back and waiting for things to happen.
And I believe that's what we need to do.
I can't think of it.
Looking for a motion?
Well, I mean, I know, grant writing and going after grants. I believe I read that in here. I'm looking for it now.
It's in the current job description.
Right.
Of the development director.
Where is it?
The other thing that we would look for is somebody to attend Pinelands meetings,
Yes.
other towns, town hall meetings. As you said, grant writing's in there.
What page are you talking about?
On the,
I'm skimming through it now.
It's on page 2.
Page 2.
Page 2 at the top, and it's the third bullet point.
Seek, make an application, fully execute. Is that what you're talking about?
Page 2.
Yeah, 2.
Can see if we got
To seek and make application.
the great opportunity.
Oh, for a grant opportunity, yeah.
Page 2?
the other
Page
thing
2
that
at the
the other
top,
thing I want to
Yeah.
note that I added into the job description, and I'm going to add all the points that you all bring up tonight. Knowledge of New Jersey real estate law and knowledge of the MLS system. It's another one that I wanted to add in there.
It's in there now.
I added that.
Oh, okay.
This is an amended job description that I did. It was the MLS system that that New Jersey realtors use.
What am I thinking of?
Any other questions or comments?
Is there any, do we have a, how much we would offer these people, or what the, and would it include them going to these various places without adding?
Yes.
Where is that?
What I would like to do with this is get a working job description together with everyone's comments, and then have a meeting with the personnel committee. We can discuss salary. We can
Okay.
refine the job description even further, and then we could advertise it. And this
Would
is
it
gonna
come back to here?
Yeah, we'll come back to here at our next meeting. So this is more a discussion. If you guys have anything you wanted to add to it.
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Okay.
This looks good to me.
So I'll set up a meeting with the personnel committee, and we'll go over this and have a recommendation for the final job description, and possibly a salary range at the next meeting.
Okay. Rich, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I would like to add some of these events are, you have to pay to go. So that also would be something to consider.
What do you mean?
Like,
They would have to pay, or we would pay them as an employee? We would pay
no,
for them to go.
Well, it's like the League of Municipalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have,
We would have to pay.
You pay for
Right.
that.
we pay for that, but there is like, some of these require a fee up front to go. So, I mean, they should not pay for that. We have to pay for it. Okay.
That's how we do it now.
Okay. So everybody, you want to look over it again over the next 2 weeks and email your concerns, questions to Brett, and then we'll have something put together for the next meeting. Moving on, discussion, advertise for site-specific RFQ to redevelop the former Scholler Brothers site for indoor cannabis cultivation. Brett, you want to give us a little background?
Mr. Stry had mentioned in his early public comment about appropriate locations, and this is, in my opinion, an appropriate, if we're going to bring cannabis into the town, this is one of the more appropriate locations that I've seen. More than anything, it's a site in need of redevelopment. The cannabis would just be icing on the cake if they chose to do it out there. It's been shut down for 20 years, Phil? Longer?
Yeah.
Most recently, the property had been occupied by several tenants, primarily as, I think, warehousing space, things coming out of casinos, et cetera. Manufacturing's been probably over 20 years.
It's a roughly 35,000 square foot building. It has a water tower on the site.
Oh, yeah, that's a picture of it right there.
Right there, yes.
It's off of Weymouth Elwood Road and intersects with Blueberry Road out in the far side of the Weymouth section of the township. If anybody has any questions.
Do they have a well that,
Yes.
yeah, it isn't city water or anything?
Not only do they have the large tank that you can see at the top of the picture, but they also have off to the right-hand side, lower below the building, that's a dedicated tank for fire suppression system, since it was formerly used for working with chemicals. So they've got water supply there.
For instance, the businesses that they had there before, were there any chemicals that were, infiltrated in the land around there? Or?
It's not on any of the known contaminated sites lists.
No.
And,
Okay.
There's been several real estate transactions involved. So if anything, would have shown up at that time,
Yeah.
at least that there were any issues.
I did take a drive out there, and it is in the very corner of Hamilton Township. Was a long distance to go on Blueberry Road, and can I get my car washed as a result of that? And then Elwood came in at the end, so I probably should have gone down Elwood instead of Blueberry, but I did notice that there have been like blueberry farms sort of, sprinkled on Blueberry Road, but not anywhere near there. It seems as though it would be a perfect location for cultivation. So.
So we have, we can go ahead and take formal action with this.
We would have to advertise for a site-specific RFQ.
Yes.
Yes. Resolution authorizing the Director of Community Development to advertise site-specific RFQ for local endorsement of cannabis establishment. And that would be Block 237, lots 1 and 2, 2877 Elwood Road.
So moved.
I have a motion.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Chief?
Recuse.
Mrs. Lang?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
I'm not sure how to count that. So I'm counting that as an abstention? So 3 yes, 1 abstention. Motion carries.
I would want to add that it will have to go through all the steps that everyone else,
Yes.
you know.
3C, discussion about cannabis RFQ process. Brett, I'll let you go.
So we've paused the cannabis RFQ process for a few months. And at this point, we need to decide what we're doing. We need to, I've recommended that we reopen it back up, but instead of doing it quarterly, we do it twice a year. This would give us more time to take a harder look at these applications, visit the sites. Quarterly is just, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, it's too much. But again, that's just my opinion. But either way, we need to take action tonight and move the RFQ process along, either quarterly, pause it completely, or modify it.
I don't think we should pause it.
What's that, you don't think?
No.
Okay.
I think that we should do what was recommended by by Brett, Township Administrator, that we should at least do something, like he said, every 6 months, which would give our professionals time to do what needs to be done.
It's an important part of the process too. It's another filter. You don't want to cut the process out because it grades these businesses that want to come in here. A lot of them don't even make it past the RFQ process to even sit with the redevelopment subcommittee. It's important that they go through this process, submit their financials. We take a hard look at the site and we grade it. And we could weed through them this way.
Are we extending, for instance, when we said it would be quarterly, then we should have, or could have put it out in April or May, but that would, this would, lap over that time frame. So it would take us to October to put
we would receive the RFQs in October.
Okay. And then from October it would be 6 months hence.
Whether we stayed with the quarterly or twice a year, it would be.
Well, if we stuck with the quarterly, I think the third quarter would have been August if we had put it out.
Third quarter would have gone out in July.
July.
Yeah, or you're reviewing them right now.
It would have been July, August, September, and then October, November, December.
We did one in January, and we were inundated with applications, and it's just, you have so much time to review them and get back to the applicants.
So what you're saying is that this RFQ is a way of eliminating or sort of filtering through the applications, just, not all will pass the test to even go to the next step.
Right.
So
You want to add steps. You don't want to take steps away from this. Not that we don't want to be business friendly, but we want as many eyes on this as we can get.
This is just a process.
We need to stay consistent with the flow chart that we push forward.
could you be more specific about the RFQ? What are some of the questions that are asked? Or
Obviously, they have to provide information about the business, the ownership structure. Specific to the township, some of the things we look for are, controlling the property, number one. Number two, when you're scoring it, if you have a local resident that's, an executive in the organization or head of the organization, that's bonus points. Bonus points for veteran ownership. Clearly, trying to think of how many years of financial reserves they need to have to show that they could run through, thank you, 2 years of financials, so that, they have the wherewithal to make it through the approval process and get underway. They have to go through the same things as all our other vendors do as far as the state requirements of, political contributions, compliance with our insurance requirements. I believe also disclosure as far as investments in certain foreign countries the state requires. So it's a fairly thorough process and information they have to provide.
And that's just the first step.
That sets
that's-
the guide, and as you move through the process of the review and the endorsement, and then when you get to the licensing, but that's the basic information that we, the township, and you as members of the governing body would have to work from. Yes. Ooh, made it just in time.
Very good.
I kind of like the idea of option 2, where we do it twice a year. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
I like that. I like it.
Mr. Mayor, I believe you're already aware of this, but I want to point out that there is a resolution, number 2023-0052, which authorizes the Director of Community Development to prepare specifications and advertise RFQs on a quarterly basis. So if the board were to decide to take formal action tonight, that would be a motion to modify that resolution, prepare a new resolution, simply making that on a biannual or twice a year basis.
So you would have to rescind the one in order to do the by every 6 months.
It would simply be a motion for a new resolution to modify that provision.
To modify. Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we modify the resolution to advertise for cannabis RFQs biannually moving forward.
Would that be a separate resolution or?
We would need a new resolution. I'm sorry if I was unclear about that. It would be a new resolution which would take the place of 2023-0052. But the only change would be changing it from quarterly to twice a year, biannually.
But right now, we would have to do 3C and then add, the modification.
It's simply a motion
A motion.
for a resolution.
Okay.
Correct.
Are you going to give us the correct motion to?
I have a resolution prepared. Are you saying they should do a motion and then do a resolution sometime in the future? Is that what you're saying?
No, we can go forward with the resolution
Okay.
tonight. I just saw that the one that was attached to item 3C in my packet
No,
is
is
the
the
old
old
one.
one.
There is
Correct,
no new
sir.
one here.
I've kind of scratched out a couple different, depending on which way you go. I'm ready. Got a resolution.
All right.
All right?
So I make a motion for a new resolution to advertise for cannabis, to authorize Community Development Director to advertise for cannabis RFQs biannually moving forward every 6 months. And this would advertise an RFQ with an October 11th deadline for submission.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek,
Recuse.
Mrs. Link,
Yes, that would be reasonable, although there's a lot of things that I think have to be modified, but this would be a step in the right direction.
Dr. Witherspoon,
Yes.
Mayor Patali.
Yes.
I have 3 yes, and Mr. Solicitor, I have the same question. Am I counting this as an abstention?
One abstention, that's right.
Thank you. 3 yes, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
For the...
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
So
ahead.
do we done the resolution 3C, do we have to amend the resolution from before? Do we
No,
do that?
we're good. That resolution will take the place.
That would take the place of it.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
From the one in January 1, that resolution was made.
We have no adoption of ordinances. We have no introduction of ordinances. We have 6A, resolution authorizing award of a non-fair and open purchase of Duraclass 9-foot, 3.5, 3.5, 4.5 yard dump body from Douglas Dynamics Incorporated, DBA Dejana Truck and Utility Equipment Company LLC, amount not to exceed $24,805.
Motion.
I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Lang?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
I'm abstaining because I don't know if I got something or not. Abstaining.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
3 yes, 1 abstention. Motion carries.
6B, award change order number 2 for bid 2022-02, Public Works Pole Barn Concrete Slab to AGR Masonry LLC for a deduction, of $14,000.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Lang?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Consent agenda.
I would like to move A through E. I'd like to have a little discussion on F.
I have a motion for A through E.
Second.
I agree with you, Judy. Yes. Second. Oh, Dr. Witherspoon.
All those in favor of consent agenda A through E? Aye.
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 Against? Ayes have it. So we go to E, F. F. So this is a resolution in opposition to President Biden's plan to use Atlantic City International Airport as a shelter for New York City migrants. You want me to read the whole thing?
I
I'll do that. That's fine.
don't see where we have that. I didn't have anything for 7F. That's why I wanted to find out more about it. Oh, thank you. It wasn't in my package. Okay.
Whereas the issues of immigration reform, border control, enforcing immigration laws, and maintaining a system in which the American dream can be realized have been debated for decades. And whereas President Joseph R. Biden and his administration have been moving unvetted migrants across the border of the United States to house them in sanctuary states and cities, including New York City. And whereas the mayor of New York City has publicly stated the city can no longer handle the influx of unvetted migrants coming to New York City from the U.S. border. And whereas recent reports in multiple media outlets indicate a plan has been developed to move unvetted migrants that New York City cannot handle and house them at the Atlantic City International Airport. And whereas political leaders representing Atlantic County residents on all levels of government throughout the county, affiliated with both the Republican Party and Democratic Party, are opposing the Biden administration's plan to house unvetted migrants at the Atlantic City International Airport. And whereas Atlantic County continues to dedicate its employees, programs, organizational partners, and other resources to combat the challenges of mental health, homelessness, crime, and poverty in the county. And whereas Atlantic County does not have the infrastructure, financial resources, social services, and public safety resources to sustain an influx of unvetted migrants that are unemployed and dependent on government as the only source to sustain them. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township of Hamilton adamantly opposes any plan to house unvetted migrants from New York City at the Atlantic City Airport because it will cause an unsustainable stress on Atlantic County resources, and it will negatively impact all municipalities throughout the county. Be it further resolved that the Township of Hamilton continues to support any and all people that continue to follow the United States system of immigration laws in their pursuit of achieving the American dream.
A motion.
Um, I would like to make,
Second?
I second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
I'd like to make a comment about this because it was my understanding that DeSantis is the one who brought all these people into New York City without any, excuse me, hold on.
It's not public comment, I'm sorry.
All right, I'm not sure this should be touted as Biden's plan or DeSantis' plan or whose plan it can be. I do agree that we don't have the infrastructure for such a movement of unvetted migrants, but I don't know how many really are they considering. We don't really know any details about this that I have, if you read in the newspaper, you don't know if that's the right thing because we don't have a local newspaper. Atlantic City Press is not really local. So where is all the substantiation about how this all took place and what they were planning to do? So,
From what I understand, President Biden gave a list of 11 federally owned properties, entities, whatever you want to call it, and Atlantic City Airport was one of them. So that therein lies my concern, and I understand what you're saying, that we don't know. I think that's as far as the federal administration has said. That's it. That's all they said.
Yeah, Mayor, my heart goes out to the people, but I do agree with this resolution that I just don't see how we can house 60,000 people at the airport. What kind of, how is this going to affect the economy and things like that? I have a heart for people, but this here is just a plan that I don't feel is appropriate for Atlantic County. I really don't, especially to be at our airport. I've been out to that airport numerous times, as many of you have, and I was just trying to figure out how they were going to do that. Were they going to put up tents? I mean, what were they going to do? How are they going to do that?
Well, has that been forthcoming? How they were going to do it?
I don't know how they were going to do it, but I just don't think it's just the right thing for our county or our airport. I don't think 60,000 people to be migrated in here is the right thing to do. Although my heart goes out to them, I want them to go somewhere, but not to Atlantic City Airport.
Yeah, I think we need a lot more detail, in order to, just summarily say, this is not something that we can do. Obviously, when you go to the airport, it's not a place for all the immigrants to go to. But where are the details?
Well, the way I look at this is, we put this forward, and if the federal government still wants to put them at this facility, then they need to give us details sooner rather than later. So maybe this will help push that and say, hey, we need, we're not just going to say, okay, we're okay with this. We're not okay with this. We need more information. We need to know what's going to happen. It's the law that, so the airport is in Egg Harbor Township, and law states that each municipality is required to provide schooling for all school-age children. So will that make Egg Harbor Township have to school however many children they have? There's, many of the schools are struggling to get teachers as it is to teach what we already have. And I have no idea what country any of these people are coming from. Do they speak English? Will they need English as a second language teachers? It would be a scramble to find them. and to teach them properly. That's a requirement and something that has to be taken seriously. And hopefully, we all know that the federal government, the state government mandates a lot of things, but then they don't give you any money for it. So that would be if they don't, that's a huge issue, because if something like this happens and it's more than what EHT can handle, EHT is going to be asking for help. Are we supposed to turn our back on EHT and say, no, we're not going to help you? Our schools, we refuse. I'm sure we would all say, yeah, we'll kick it in and we'll help you out. And that's just going to be a strain on all of us.
Is it EHT or Galloway?
EHT.
EHT.
But the thing about it, it's just not the right thing to do at this time. And I don't believe that we're a sanctuary county. So it's just not the right thing to do. I mean, and for me, if anyone who knows me knows I have a heart for people. And again, I don't want to be the dead horse. My heart goes out to these people who are, don't have nowhere to go. Because New York said no. But the problem is, even if the federal government gave us money, let's say, when the money runs out, who's paying for it?
And even if they give us money, like I said,
yeah,
you're going to be trying to hire people, and if the people, there's not people there to hire.
we should oppose it.
We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call vote on this?
Mr. Cheek?
A yes would be to agree with this.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
I'm going to.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. A yes would be to agree with this resolution opposing this proposal. Because I heard some scoffing from the crowd. I just want to make sure everybody understands. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Cheek.
I'm still a yes.
Mrs. Link?
I abstain on the basis as I don't know all the details that I should know in order to. I think this is something that should be tabled and brought up at another time when we find out more details about it. I mean, obviously, on the surface, it's overwhelming, but let's find out more details. We're on only one municipality compared to all the county. They don't. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. I'm abstaining in order to find out more detail about this. So let's see if either Brett or who would be in charge of finding out more detail.
I could look further into it.
All right, and get a hold of this, the different entities who have said all these people. Is it 50,000?
60.
They said 60.
Okay. It just seems unbelievable. But again, we need more detail. I'd like to table it, if possible.
I'm in the middle of a roll call. I don't know.
We're
But
on a roll
you
call.
have to go through
No.
the roll call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Witherspoon
Yes, I'm voting to oppose it.
and Mayor Patali.
Yes.
3 yes, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Moving on. Personnel. We have nothing for personnel. Approvals. Minutes. Regular meeting minutes, August 21st, 2023.
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Bills. Bill list total $7,180,280.67.
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Reports. Mr. Administrator.
I just want to thank Bob and his office for their diligence with getting these roads paved. I don't know if the public realizes it, but these were done with 3 different grants from the DOT. New York Avenue was a mess. Atlantic Avenue was embarrassing. It's the main stretch to our industrial park. And after today it'll be paved from Babcock all the way out to Summers Point Road. So, good job, Bob. Thank you.
Very good.
Getting it done.
Mr. Solicitor.
Yes, I'd like to report the litigation that was previously pending in Atlantic County. It was Site Centers Court versus the Town of Hamilton under ATL L 24223. There was a stipulation of dismissal with prejudice filed today, so that matter is resolved and closed. I'm happy to report.
Thank you. Mr. Engineer.
I'd like to thank Brett for those comments. I mean, we just worked together with Arawak Paving, and we wanted to get it all done before school started. So I know there was a little bit of confusion last week for a day or two, but overall, I believe everybody's happy with it, and the timing was of the essence, and I believe Arawak did that accordingly. So applaud them, and there's still a few more roads to be done, but they're off the beaten track and more of a subdivision. So we will take care of those people as well.
Very good. Township Committee members, Mr. Cheek.
Thank you. First of all, on Sunday, last Sunday, I attended the fun day or game day for Alessio Soto. He was the 9-year-old that I read the proclamation. And the community came together like you wouldn't believe. You didn't leave there feeling sad. You left there feeling great about yourself and our community. And after I left, I thought of it. There had to be, what would you say, Chief, 150 kids? At least 150, basically kids that are younger than 8th grade that all came together, and what a community type thing we taught our young kids that day. And it was just a very, very good experience. That's it for me.
Dr. Witherspoon.
Yes, I would like to say there are a lot of people in our township who have wonderful hearts, and there were a lot of book bag giveaways during this back to school. I wasn't aware of all of them until some of them had passed, but I did see it on Facebook where they gave out a lot. I did attend one, and that was at the Mount Zion Baptist Church off of Weymouth, off of Jackson Road. I didn't know they had been there for 75 years. I didn't even know they existed. But I wanted to see where it was because I saw it, and so I drove over there just to see where it was, and I was glad that I did. But just to see the effort that a lot of our residents have had in their heart, just to make sure that kids had book bag and school supplies. There was one on the 2nd, but I didn't know about that one because I would have probably showed up just to see it. But I was still happy that it was done. I was happy that it was done. And also, I just wanted to say I attended the memorial service of love for Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. That was held in Atlantic City. I was one of the speakers there, and I did attend, and I was proud to be a Hamilton Township Committee person. I wasn't doing it on behalf of the township, but I was just glad to be there. Our township was represented because I was there. So I was very happy about that, and that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Mrs. Link.
In regards to Sheila Oliver, she was in charge of DCA, and she did an awesome job, and I don't know who's going to be appointed in her stead, but she left a legacy. So let's see what happens after that, because DCA is very important to New Jersey. I did also attend the giveaway, or the book bag giveaway at Mount Zion Baptist Church. It is a very small church and with plenty of heart, they invited me to come back for the service the next day, which I did do. And the Reverend Mike said, "You're part of our family now, so you have to keep on coming back." I do belong to other churches, so the Methodist Church, but I will return. It was very heartwarming, and their spirit is so positive, and the things that were, put into those book bags, the children will really be in need of them, and it was very, very good. I know that there is on the 8th there is in Mizpah there's also a food giveaway which I will attend on a Friday morning, and be very happy to be there. Also, I am really very concerned about the presence of cannabis in our industrial park. When it was originally thought, oh, this would be a great place, blah, 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 blah. But as you look at all the educational facilities that are there, I don't know of one location that would be really suitable, especially the one, next to Chandler Park, opposite that. But you have the, Hess School, you have recovery, and to have all there's 2 recovery organizations in there. To have that cannabis there, I don't think it's a very good thing. So I would like to see something happen as far as, in my own mind, is going back to the original ordinance of 2018 and see what we can do about that, because everything led from there on. So that's my feeling. I know that Hamilton Township, since the Pinelands was dedicated in 1970, has done a tremendous job in zoning and making sure that everything is fair and equitable. And since Hamilton Township is 75% under the Pinelands, I do feel as though this redevelopment seeks to change zoning, and so I'm not in favor of that. I think they should all go through our regular process of going to the planning board, going to the zoning board, and seeing how far they can go with their development. I know that there is plenty of places for development in Hamilton Township, and that's what I would like to see, not redevelopment. Now this project tonight, I saw that firsthand. I took pictures of that. It really is dilapidated. That is truly a redevelopment area, but not where you're going to tear down loads of trees and put something else up under redevelopment and under to zoning. I mean, changing the zoning. To me, it's not the way to go for our township. Our township is a great township. I know there are buildings that should be torn down or could be torn down, but every one of those things are owned by people that pay taxes. And so we can't just summarily go and tear things down that we don't like. And I was happy to see that the cotton mill came back after 2007. They abandoned that whole process. So that was a good thing. That's true redevelopment. Same thing with the racetrack. But we cannot force people to do what the people of the township think is right. We can only help them if they come to the table, and that's under redevelopment. But most of these projects are just go through the normal plans, go through the planning board, go through the zoning. And that's why we appointed all these people for these boards. And we do appoint our attorneys for that as well. So I wanted to just speak to that issue. Okay?
Okay. Phil, can you come take a seat, please? Because I'm going to have some questions for you. So correct me if I'm wrong. Cannabis redevelopment.
Yes.
They still have to go through planning board and zoning board.
Only the planning board. Under the redevelopment ordinance, it has to be in an area that we've designated to have cannabis, and specifically going to the zoning board is not permitted. So it's got to be through the planning board. After you vetted them to the point of, they're substantial, they've got the wherewithal to do the project. The project itself in general is consistent with what you're looking for. Once they get to the point and the redevelopment agreement is in place, then they go to the planning board for site plan approval through the normal course. Coming back here after they get all their approvals and after the project is developed, or if it's a rehabilitation project, all the work is done, then they'll be back here for their licensing.
Okay. And we're working on cleaning up the cannabis ordinance and tweaking it a little bit.
Yes.
Plan is to have that ready for the next meeting.
Yes, they are. We'll be discussing it at the redevelopment review subcommittee next week, and then looking to have it introduced on the 18th.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Saturday, September 16th, Art in the Park, 10 to 3. Sunday, September 17th, at Lake Lenape East, the Lenny Lenape Nanacoke people will have a music, dance demonstration, and oral history. And that's Sunday the 17th, the day after Art in the Park. And that'll be from 1 to 3. This weekend coming up, the 9th and 10th, will be the Winding River Boating Association inboard powerboat races at Lake Lenape. They start at noon. They'll end around 4-ish. Best places to watch are the Cove and Lake Lenape West are the best spots to watch that. Lots of sponsorships from local businesses. Really came out nice. Let's see what else we have. Alessio, I was there. I got there late, so thank goodness Deputy Mayor was there to take care of that. But I got there late, and they did have a XXX shirt for me, so I was able to put a shirt on. And it was really hot, and the shirts were black, and I put it over top of the shirt I already had on because I didn't want to cause a big ruckus if I took that shirt off. But anyway, no, it was really, really nice. Spent some time with Alessio's, with mom and dad, and it was great to see him be embraced by everybody, by all the kids. And the picture that I did see, one picture, I don't know if it's out on social media or anything, of him with the football in his hands, and his mom, pushing him towards the goal line. Big smile on his face. Everything he's going through, he's still got that smile on his face. So anytime you can, somebody who's going through a fight like that you could put a smile on their face, it's worth it. So really happy to see that happen. Unfortunately, there was a pretty substantial fire out at the Woodlands. So thank you to all of our volunteer fire companies that made it out there and did what they had to do. Public Works, Rescue Squad, our police department. Who else was out there? Red Cross. Were they out there? Red Cross. So once again, like I always say, the helpers show up. When something bad happens, just take a look around. All the helpers will be there. I also stopped by Mays Landing Fire Company the other day, and there was a lot of work to fix one of the trucks, and it got fixed, and they showed me what had to get done on the tanker, and a heck of a job by the company that did that work. And there was a lot of work that had to be done by Brett, by the chief, by Cynthia to figure out ways to pay for this and hopefully get that truck to make it until the new pumper is here. So and the chief over there was really proud of that, and he was thanked us, and that was nice to see that all come together and see that happen. So I think that's pretty much it.
Mayor, what about 9/11?
Oh,
9/11.
yes, thank you.
Yes.
9/11. Next Monday night, 9/11 at War Memorial Park, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. So let's hope we have some decent weather this year. If we do have bad weather, I believe we're coming here. We're coming here. So we got that squared away this year. So just pay attention to social media, and I'm sure we'll send out something on Regroup if the weather is bad, and we are going to have it here. So next Monday night on the 11th, 9/11. And that's it, Reagan. Go ahead. What else?
I just saw this on Facebook, so I just want to make sure everybody knew about it. Bark in the Park. Mays Landing has Hamilton Township, we have some unique things that happen. And this is going to be on the 16th at the 4-H fair. I had no idea this was even happening in our town, but thank God for social media. And I know we have art in the park that day, but I just wanted to say it because
We got art in the park and bark in the park.
We got art in the park and bark in the park.
Maybe next year we'll put them together.
But that's at the 4-H fair.
So, but I just wanted to say that because it's going to be at the 4-H fairgrounds. And it's just so many things that happen in Hamilton Township on this western end that you really don't know about, and just to see the different things that are happening, it's exciting to me. So I try to put it on Facebook,
Yep.
when I see something that's going on in Mays Landing. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you for.
Oh, and shout out. So one of the backpack giveaways for the school was Truth Be Told Barbershop on Main Street.
That's right.
In the hair district of Mays Landing. So shout out to Truth Be Told
That's right.
for what they did there. And I'll mention we had the Lantern Festival at Lake Lenape East. And I know there was some bad publicity saying that it's going to contaminate and everything. They did a fantastic job. None of the lanterns got away. They had a barricade around the whole area, some people in kayaks. And I did not go out there Friday, but I went out Saturday night in the boat and just watched it. And there had to be 1,000 people there. It was and I know they had some food trucks, they had music, they had, it was quite an event. And from what I could see, there was no trash left behind. So the people that were kind of chirping on social media, I'm glad to say that this company that handled this cleaned it up, and it worked out well. And it's nice to, next year, hopefully they come back next year and, we can promote it a little bit better and get more people out there. I know a lot of people, people did some remembrances for lost ones. And like I said earlier, anything that brings a smile to your face and makes you happy, then do that. So that's really all I have. Reagan, I'll see you later. Maddie, wish you love you, and I hope to see you soon. So we will now open it up for public comment, unless you
Could
have
I-
something?
Yeah, I wanted to say kudos to our police department, because when the people were leaving, there were at least 1,000 cars at Lake Lenape. And for them to leave orderly, and they seemed to do a good job, and our township police were out there. Thank you.
Very good. So we will open it up to the public.
Mr. Mayor, before
Oh.
anybody comes down, I personally want to thank you for your proclamation. I'm a survivor also. That's right. Very simple screening, simple blood test. Gentlemen, it is worth your while. Get it done annually. Talk to your doctor. More options every day. So, that's it. Simple PSA test, and then you go from there. There's so many options, and it's a very survivable form of cancer. So,
I'm glad I brought a smile to your face.
good luck to your brother.
Thank you. Good luck to you and Jim. Okay, open up the public.
Yes, Carl. I'm very sorry about your brother. I'm a survivor.
So far, so
myself.
good, buddy.
I'm a survivor myself of prostate cancer.
Keep up the fight.
So when you get screamed, they were right through the elbow. So I'm doing good now, because my PSA is almost 0.
Good job.
I see Dr. Werzer every 6 months. I've been doing that since '07. I've been seeing him every 6 months for 16 years.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yep, I will.
Have to do.
Yep. Good job. Mr. Akers.
Good evening. My name is Fred Akers. I'm the operations manager for the River Council and the Watershed Association, and prostate cancer survivor as well. I got a few comments. One is I think that Hamilton Township has the best administrator, or one of the best ever. I'm taking to take care of him, and he's good to work with. I'm going to talk about something that I heard I watched the video of the last meeting, and I heard something in public comment that I'm going to talk about. But I'm watching the meeting, and the video camera goes on you guys. And
Yeah, I got to change that.
and it's not down here. So I'm watching the video, and I'm hearing this voice, and it's like, boy, that sounds like Phil Sartorio. No, it can't be. And then one of you guys said, well, Phil, what do you think? So I really enjoyed working with Phil for a number of years, and I'm glad to see that he's back. So what I want to talk about is a property owner on the river talked about a problem with tires. And so I just wanted to report that I've done a lot of research on it, talked with Brett back and forth in emails, and we've communicated with the Atlantic City Electric. It is a significant issue because tires are being discharged into the river. And it's a very interesting issue. And the property owner shared with me some correspondence from her father to Atlantic Electric in 1987. So I was trying to figure out, when did the electric company build this retaining wall of thousands of used tires, which is what it is. And it was in 1987, and because he was a property owner, they were going back and forth. And one of the things he mentioned in the letter was that the electric company had applied herbicide to the entire right-of-way and killed all the vegetation on the bank. Hence, it started to erode because the vegetation was gone. So they have not maintained this used tire retaining wall, and we're going to try to get them to do something. I'm not real confident that they're going to be responsive. And I'll tell you a second kind of story with Atlantic City Electric. So we are still working on trying to get barricades at the right-of-way gravelly run in Ocean Heights, because there's two open roads that go right in to the right-of-way, and that's the vector to bring truckloads of trash and dump them in gravelly run and bring ATVs in and out of there. So I talked with the Natural Lands Trust at great length, and we made a deal, and we sent them insurance indemnification, and they said, if you do what you think you should do, let us know what you're doing, but we need your help. So they had a guy who was putting stumps in, and when I saw these two open roads in the right-of-way, I thought, why didn't they put the stumps there? And I understand why, because Atlantic Electric has to give permission for doing stuff in the right-of-way, and they're really difficult to work with. So we're still trying to work with them, and what they required after we got them to respond back and forth is they are requiring us to do a survey. So we are going to pay a survey, $1,000, to mark their right-of-way that shows where we want to put the barricades up is in their right-of-way, and it's obviously it is. And the surveyors have had a hard time figuring out how to do this. So I had one survey, and we waited like 8 weeks, he didn't do it. And so then I got another surveyor, he was supposed to do it in the middle of August, and it hasn't been done. So we're still working on that, and we'll eventually get some barricades up there to at least stop the big vehicles from going in there. So those are some updates for you, and we'll keep working on stuff. Thanks.
Thanks, Fred.
Mr. Mayor, on the Scholler RFQ, will Mr. Malley's law firm be involved in this, and how much money do you anticipate? And I spoke earlier about we're heading towards $400,000 taxpayers' money. Normally, applicants supply their own attorney to go before the planning or zoning board. So now, through this redevelopment, when you appoint the redevelopment attorney at reorganization, Mr. Malley gets virtually all of those redevelopment plans, going from CarMax to the Columbia Care, the Burn Factory. You can go right down the list. It's all documented. It's all public information. But if you look at the total, we're heading towards $400,000. And what are the taxpayers getting except maybe some projects that they don't want? So in this particular project, is Mr. Malley going to take this project and build a township? I assume he is. It comes under redevelopment and cannabis.
Well,
Were you aware?
I'm not sure I want to go down the road I want to go down. I'm going to assume that, and I'm going to look at Cynthia here to help me out a little bit here, maybe. But when this cannabis ordinance, when this all started, we needed somebody to help us write the ordinance.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
We needed somebody to help us write the ordinance.
Right.
So that would be them, and probably some help from Sandman, Kevin, whoever. So I think probably a large sum of that was, I mean, you got to be going back years.
Well,
or is that this year? So you're telling me in this year we spent $400,000?
No, this is from the beginning, which was back to, a couple years ago.
2020?
I'm not sure. I have it right here.
2020.
If you want the
Right?
2021, okay. Approaching $400,000, when normally these fees are paid by the...
Well, like I said, somebody had to write the ordinance.
Well-
So when we're writing the ordinance, we can't bill somebody. It's us.
Okay, I'll come back with the amount that it costs to do the ordinance, and then we can talk more about...
Absolutely.
It's all billed. If you look at the bills, you'll see where it was billed to, okay? I mean, if we're giving away free legal advice, people are going to come and take it, okay? Whether, you just take your shot, okay? I think it's something you need to realize. The second item is Green Mint. No, the property in the industrial park across from Chancellor's Place. What is the status of that?
There is no status.
Okay, well, according to the agreement and the buyer's obligation pursuant shall be contingent upon the buyer obtaining and maintaining local support from the Township of Hamilton within 90 days of the agreement of sale, which was June 1st. Okay, so that 90 days expired. So if you just read it for face value, if they did not come to the township within 90 days, it has expired. So that is my question.
So my question would be to Kevin, wouldn't that be the industrial committee?
It would, and I don't want to speak in turn here because I don't have all the details in front of me, and I hate to give incomplete information.
I don't want any details, but I'm just
No, no,
saying,
no.
if indeed it is September 1st and we're past 90 days, we don't have anything to do with that. That would be the industrial commission.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. I believe that 2 of the 6 potential contracts that were announced have already fallen through. Agreement may be one, it may not be. I don't know.
That's
I'm
okay.
happy to look into that for you
All right.
before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Because it has not come here. I approved it. I'll tell you, I wrote a letter saying I approve that sale.
Well, yeah, that's another part, that anything that's sold in the industrial park, the mayor has 10-day veto.
I have 10 days, I can veto it, and
I understand.
I don't, my opinion, there's 5 of us up here. I shouldn't be vetoing something unless it's, for some reason, the industrial commission wanted to sell to
Yeah, well, that's
Iran.
that's the
I don't
ordinance, and that's the way it works. I mean, like it or not. The status of that is
You got to ask the industrial commission.
okay. Well, I did. Okay, I requested the minutes from the industrial commission. They have not been approved, going all the way back until January. It was on the agenda to approve a whole set of them. They canceled the meeting for, I don't know why. But those minutes, I think by law, and somebody can correct me, but those minutes need to be approved
So
very quickly.
I believe we're meeting tomorrow evening, and I will be there, and I'll bring up the issue of the minutes and find out what's going on with that.
Okay,
Happy to do
I mean, I think you'll agree that minutes should not wait 9 months to be approved under any circumstances.
Yeah, ideally, no.
Ideally? Okay, all right. And lawfully. The other question, Mr. Cheek, you've abstained on several cannabis-related ordinances or resolutions tonight. Do you care to go on record in the light of transparency why?
No.
You don't care? You have owned property. You do own property in the industrial park?
Well, you need to address everything to me. And
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
There you go.
It seems to me, I'm sure that Mr. Cheek owns property in the industrial park and has for some time. I believe Mr. Cheek has voted to designate the industrial park as an area in need of redevelopment, and cannabis being a permitted use, which has increased the value of his property. This may be, I'm not sure, he won't tell us why he abstained, but this may be why he has abstained from any, starting tonight, any cannabis-related resolutions or ordinance before Township Committee. That kind of puts maybe Mr. Cheek in a very difficult position if he attempts to sell that property, and if he had voted previously on those ordinances to increase the value of his property, there is a serious concern.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just jump in real fast.
Absolutely.
I want to specify for the record, Deputy Mayor Cheek recused himself. He didn't only abstain, but he said he recused himself this evening.
On the ordinances, the redevelopment and the cannabis ordinances?
Correct.
Okay.
As far as I can remember, the entire township was designated an area in need of redevelopment as well. And I think most of the people in this room own property in this room. So this is public comment, it's not public flogging. But I just wanted to clarify it was a recusal and not just an abstention, for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicholas. I'll be brief.
Nicholas, what's your last name?
Signorello. Would it be of the interest of the committee to adopt a township flag? Is that something that anyone would consider?
To adopt what?
To adopt a township flag.
Oh,
Township what?
Flag.
Oh,
don't we have one?
I thought we had one.
Yeah, I thought we had one.
We have a seal.
We have a seal. For a while, there was a banner up front here. From what I remember, that was the bicentennial banner. Right. So I don't think that's officially recognized as the township flag, but if it would be of the interest, I have designed one or two myself, if that would be the interest of the committee.
I'm not against it.
I'm not against it.
Okay. Is there a process whereby I can sort of make a short 5 to 10 minute presentation, or if I can present my designs? Or
I would say present them to the administrator.
Brett? Okay.
Yeah.
They-
All right.
Does you have his information?
Yeah, I called him about a
Okay.
couple weeks ago. And so, all right. Is that it?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ken Sinkowski, taxpayer, voter, lifelong resident. Pretty much heard everybody else's take. I guess my direct question is, good evening to Dr. Reverend Thelma Witherspoon, and my question to you is do you support the 24 proposed and approved cannabis retail cultivation, manufacture, or distribution, wholesale and delivery license in the Hamilton Township Industrial Park? Knowing that they are very close to like the head school where our kids go to school, grandkids go to school, special services school, ACIT, Woodruff State Assistant Living, and so on with the recovery. Do you support this?
Well, everything gets directed to me. So I don't know if Thelma wants to answer that, if she wants to.
And Dr. Witherspoon, you certainly don't need to respond. When that comes before the board at the appropriate time, you can voice your comments during discussion, and you can vote at your leisure. Respond if you want to, but you certainly don't need to.
You want to know if I support it
Do you support this? Yes.
because of the schools?
Yeah, the area, the location
The
of
area.
schools, the
You know, Dr. Witherspoon, without hearing the particulars of any particular application, I'm going to advise you not to respond regarding a specific project. You know, that'll come before the board at the appropriate time.
Yeah, because it's actually being worked on. It's a work in progress right now. Well, there is an ordinance, but we are looking at amending the ordinance.
So we don't have a right to know whether she supports it or if she for it.
Probably next meeting, there'll actually be a vote, and you're going to hear all of us vote on it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Township Mayor, good evening, Mercedes Veneer. So I am looking into maybe moving into your backyard. So I have a couple questions. Well, I'm a native of Atlantic County, we just left the county commissioners meeting. Mayor, were you at that meeting tonight?
No.
I'm going to ask the question to the committee here. Was any of the committee there tonight at the meeting?
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
No, it's a conflict.
Okay, as far as the ordinance, the money that was spent by whomever, was there RFP produced? Was there a procurement out? And do you have a division that deals with procurement? How did the ordinance how was it given to whoever was paid to handle the ordinance?
What ordinance?
So the ordinance dealing with cannabis. So the ordinance that you keep saying is going to change,
Yes.
that ordinance, who was it written by?
Now,
Let's say Malley with probably some help from Sandman. I'm not sure.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so it was done internally within the township? Or was it an outside company?
Oh, no, it's internally
Okay.
in the township.
Okay. So with that ordinance, do you deal with the state as far as the Cannabis Commission? Has anybody ever worked for the Cannabis Commission? Do they regularly meet with the Cannabis Commission for the state of New Jersey?
I would have to, Brett, we have to look into that.
On the master plan that's written by Vince Palestina in 2012 that I just looked at sitting here, when is the new one? This is past 10 years. We're in 2023, right? So 10 years, well, I don't see it online. Do we see it online? Anyone? Okay, mayor or whoever in the room. Is the new one online, or when will it be completed?
I don't know if it's online.
Okay. Have a good day.
Eileen Dixon, I didn't intend to speak tonight, but the cannabis ordinance is 1964-2021, July 6th, 9 pages long. So that's the answer as to when it was adopted. Any conversation about cannabis after the vote of 2020 by the state till the regs were approved by the state in February of 2021. That's when the RFQs were solicited. I don't have that number right in the top of my head. 2020, 2022. I just got the Oprah today. I just can't remember the first one and the second one. So that's all I'm going to say on the cannabis thing. Most of the people sitting, of the four of you, I think two of you were sitting there when that vote was taken in July of 21. Two of you were not on committee. So that clears up that little tidbit. I'm going to go backwards on the 3 points I originally came up here for. Did you just make a comment about the word green mint? Could you tell us what's the status of what, quote, is Green Mint Therapy LLC's agreement with the Industrial Commission?
So there was a question about the 6 potential contracts that were announced a few meetings back. Question was, what's the status of Green Mint?
Yes.
The answer is, I don't know, sitting here tonight. I know that about 2 of those 6, I think, have already fallen through. I don't know if Green Mint is among them. And what I said is, I'll be attending the Industrial Commission meeting tomorrow night. I'm happy to inquire about that and report back.
Do you know what 2 fell through?
I don't.
All right.
I can find out very easily, but
Yeah, and it's really important because there was several that you sat there one night and said, I'm sorry, Kevin, I shouldn't say you sat there, but you sat there. You sat there and talked
That's
in the
accurate,
microphone.
yeah.
Yeah, let's smile a little bit here. And you named several, I think All Air or All something or other, and there's like a ventilation contractor, but that's just 2 of them. But there were several that you said quickly that night. I want to back up to the beginning of the meeting, 2 issues. Minutes. I have been attending meetings since 1970 when, Carl, you were probably just out of diapers, and this town thought they should regulate boats on the lake. So you know what that did with me, put me right in orbit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So since 1970, January 1976, Open Public Meetings Act, everything is supposed to be, the business of the people is supposed to be conducted in a public view, public discussion, and we can all hear it. In addition, the minutes are required in that 1976 law, and I can't imagine it got changed. But the minutes are to be promptly available. And if I went home in my garage and came back with a banker's box full of HTMUA minutes from 1980 all the way into 2003, up the side of the legal paper, every time the minutes were done until we got to the next meeting to vote, it said in big, bold letters, capital letters, pending approval. So if someone went in a week after an MUA meeting and said, I'd like to get the minutes, they would be clearly marked, every single page, pending adoption, so people aren't held up. I think the problem that you're running into at the Industrial Commission, and maybe on occasion it could happen at a planning board meeting, if the members who attended the prior meeting don't show up, and they don't get enough members present to vote, they hold it again. So people that are honored to be appointed to a board have an obligation to be there, short of illness, or some other catastrophe, and boy, there's a lot of them going on right now, in health situations with people, that's a reason to be an excused absent. But just to not go because you don't go for whatever, you're watching a baseball game on TV, forget that. You shouldn't be on a board. So if you want to check and confirm what I'm saying, promptly available, no matter what the board is, promptly available, that's the way it always was, at least up until 2003 at the MUA, in compliance with that law. And I have asked for minutes because they aren't being adopted, and I did not get them. I didn't make an issue of it. It's different now. And the last thing is the Roberts Rules. I don't know if state law guides or if it's Roberts Rules. If somebody has a conflict and they recused, and I learned this in probably a school board seminar, all-day thing in the mid-90s when I was on the local board. You have a conflict. You recuse. You don't open your mouth about the topic in the front room, the back room, the bathroom, or out in the front porch. You're not allowed to talk about the topic at all. A recusal doesn't count as an abstention. So whether that's under Robert's Rules or state law, that needs to be clarified because of what has occurred here tonight. Is recusal the same as an abstention? And I say no, because an abstention under Robert's Rules can be counted as a positive, not a negative. So I don't want to interrupt. So this needs to be cleared up so everybody knows that we.
Well, I think after he recused, our clerk asked, is that a abstention? And our solicitor said yes.
It needs to be cleared up, Carl.
Well, I think it was cleared up.
I would like to
I think
I
she
don't
cleared
think
it
it
up.
is.
I need to know.
You agree?
I would like to know, yes.
So I think it's going to take a little bit of research, either under Robert's Rules or state law regarding recusal and whether it counts as an abstention or it's just like a non-vote. Because in a recusal, if there were alternates, like at the planning board, the zoning board, the MUA, a recusal means the alternate votes. But that doesn't apply here. So there's where the little.
So I do believe that technically there's a distinction between a recusal and an abstention.
I do too.
For purposes of the vote tally, the only options on the resolution are yes, no, abstain, or
So
absent.
we got to make another category.
So we may
Open
need
up
to
another
address that, and I'm
box.
glad you brought that up. But
Right.
I can certainly look into that as well.
It's just my understanding for decades, many decades.
It's a very fair point. There is a distinction, I believe, between recusal and abstention. So maybe we need to modify the sheet. But as
Yeah.
far as for purposes of the
No.
vote,
I don't want to.
What's that roar?
Yeah.
Thank you. Unless you had something,
nothing else to say. I'll look into it.
Discuss it.
Thank you.
because we all need to know. Thank you.
Agreed.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Brian Heffron. I'm a resident of Woods Landing, and I just wanted to bring you up to date and thank you all personally and on behalf of the residents and the Board of Directors from Woods Landing on where we're at now, the current situation with Fernmore Homes. Things have progressed over the past few months in a rapid succession where things are moving forward. We anticipate probably by Thanksgiving that they will be completely out of our community, hopefully. Pending
Paved?
Paved, yes. But everything's moved forward rapidly. They're addressing all the punch list items. Things are moving forward. They're going to pave starting next week, phases 1 through 4. And then the only phase left will be phase 5, which we anticipate will be done by Thanksgiving. And but everything's moving forward, and if it wasn't for your help and assistance in getting this done, it's been a long road. I've only been there 4 years, but the residents that have been there since 04, 05, and it's if it wasn't for Councilman Cheeks, I want to compliment you. He got involved 2 years ago and sort of stirred the pot that really initiated Fernmore starting to move forward with our community. So things have worked out very well, and I just wanted to come in front and thank you for all your help.
And shout out to Bob Smith, too.
Yeah, and Bob Smith his communication is excellent. I can honestly say that every time the board of directors has asked him to come and have a meeting, he's shown up.
and updated everybody on what's going on with the developer, and so it's worked out very well. So,
And Bob Watkins helped too, so I can't leave Watkins out,
okay,
you know.
Bob, yes,
Yeah.
yes, he did. Planning board, they helped us out tremendously. So thank you very much for everything.
You're welcome. I'll be glad when everything is done and paved. Then we can celebrate.
Hi, good evening. Joelle Bridgers, 56 Chancellor. I just want to get some clarification on the every 6 months that we're doing now, that we just voted on. So does this mean in 6 months, and I'm only asking this because, for example, the contract for the property next to Chancellor, the real estate contract states in there 90 days. Now, I know that in this case, they have not come with the application in 90 days. There's some still discrepancy with the contract. That's a different story. But let's just say that they came with you, to you within the 90 days of the contract, within the 6 months. How is the public going to know what's going on? Because now it's not every quarter, every 3 months, which is within that 90 days, we would find, in other words, the real estate contract says within 90 days that the township needs to, they need to come to you with their application, and you need to make some type of decision. So now it's not quarterly, your decision.
So we put out a request for proposals. They would give a proposal.
Right.
It would be graded. And if it receives the grade that it needs,
Right.
then they would come.
Then it would go to the redevelopment review committee, who would review and vet the application. And if it passes their muster, then it would come here to Township Committee.
For them to give a presentation. And since we've instituted the flow chart, and also part of the ordinance amendments is that, Is the flow chart.
codifying that.
So are we saying then every real estate contract
Not every.
no, what I'm saying is, would you extend it then past 90 days? Because then this could all happen and
We have nothing to do with that. That is the Industrial Commission. Am I correct? That is the Industrial Commission.
okay, so then how's the public going to know within that 6 months what's going on? I know there's the process. I'm understanding all the processes here. And I know you got to tweak a few things. But again, let's just pretend that the 90 days, they come to you with the application, and now you have to vote
So then,
on it.
like I said, they would have to pass whatever the point system is.
Right.
They'd have to, if they pass that, then it goes to the redevelopment review committee, and then it would come here to Township Committee for
So-
them to give a presentation.
Okay,
And that
so
would
at
be
that
on the
point, we
agenda.
could- if needed, and the public, or we all speak and whatnot, and then you can vote it down at that point. Like, I don't want it to go too far, and then we're too deep into it, because everybody's gotten their applications, and everything looks good on your side, and yet the public doesn't know about it, and we don't think it's a good idea. And we pay taxes, we are part of the township.
Understood?
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I just don't want too far. I get what you have to do. There's a lot involved and
Right,
there's a
but
lot of
this-
research, but I'm just thinking, how do you get that information out to the public of what's going on?
The public input doesn't change with the RFQ process being advertised every 6 months.
No.
So the realtors and the industrial commissioner have to pay attention to that, and the process is going to stay the same. So, if their agreement says that they have to have secured or a cannabis agreement within 90 days, and we don't have another RFQ going out for 4 months, that's on that. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Kind of yes and no.
it's
Yeah. I'm just concerned that it's just too far of a span. Again, I understand where you're coming from because there's a lot of research, and I know you guys work hard. I think there's too far of a span. Like, I would have never known that this was trying to be put into, I know it didn't get that far, but trying to be put into my own neighborhood. 90 days is short. And when you
Because
put 90 days
they
in-
never even got,
Right, but what if
they
did
haven't done
come-
anything.
But what if they did come with the application? We would not know that until another 6 months from now, or sorry, 3 months from now.
It would depend on when they wanted to come and give their presentation.
So they'd have to do the presentation definitely in this
Yes.
room.
Yes.
Okay, and it could be stopped at that point.
Well,
The reason why.
then it would be us approving the
First go around.
letter of endorsement.
Correct.
Which would be the escrow account.
No.
No, that's
A letter of, that's down the
That's down the pipe, yes. Again, the way that it's, until we issue an RFQ, there's no application. Just understand that. We just don't accept applications off the street. We issue the RFQ, it says, hey, we're accepting applications. So that's, when they would have to respond by. So at this point in time, the earliest that we would get anything into the township based on the resolution adopted tonight would be October 11th. That starts our internal review. We review and score the application based on the criteria of, control, contract on the property, the finances, et cetera. If they score high enough on that, it goes to the redevelopment review committee, which will review the entire application. They'll look at the site in context. And if the redevelopment review subcommittee would make their recommendation to the governor, if they make a recommendation to move it forward, it moves forward. If they don't recommend it to move forward,
it dies.
It dies.
Okay. So
If it does come to the governing body, it's done here in public. Since we've adopted the flow chart, the one thing we've been doing is putting notice on the township website, and I think it's also going on the regroup, that if somebody's coming in to do either a redevelopment or a cannabis, either application or update, it's posted. Try to get it out definitely by the Friday before this meeting. So it's out there to the public for a while. Public's welcome to attend. Obviously, you can see it on the township channel. Governing body would look at it. They could, at that point in time, can either act on it that night or mull it over for a week, accept more public comment the following week, and then ultimately it'll be their decision to whether or not to endorse.
Letter of endorsement.
Letter of endorsement, and then it goes through the state licensing, or at least gets their conditional state license. Comes back, again, comes to the governing body, another public event. Comments coming in, which would designate the site as
But that 6 months, it's going to, we would know about it, and it could
yes,
potentially
yeah,
get stopped.
all through the process, there's
Right.
points where
I know,
they could say no.
Right, I just
But,
don't want it
yeah.
to get too far deep if it's something that's a major concern to particular communities. That's all.
Yeah.
And Brett, if you can please make sure that you send that to me, email me that. I didn't get it last time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
endorsement, then they go to the state and then they come back.
Mercedes Bundy again. Just for the record, I'm a behavioral health chair for the government for one of the most populous cities in this country. The form of this meeting today, where a chair can only speak and be addressed, and then you tell people when to speak, is a form of Robert's Rules of Order or whatever. Also, as far as the minutes, every next meeting, the minutes should be approved at that meeting regardless of fact. That is Robert's Rules of Order. So I have a question, Mayor. Question, as far as the letter of support, let's call it, or whatever you call it, as far as the ordinance, the technical term, what you called it, that letter of support, any of the cannabis business coming in, who are they anchored to? Who are they beholden to? Do they support nonprofit organizations? Do they support behavioral health organizations? Do they support school organizations? Do they clean your streets? What does the letter of support look like?
So, well, go ahead.
Well, that's in the RFQ process.
Yes, that's an RFQ process.
Are they beholden to someone in the last RFP that was written? Let me ask a specific question. In the last RFP, RFQ, RFI, RFX that was written, does it state that they're beholden to a nonprofit, a behavioral health organization, a school, college, institution, or the cannabis companies that, and or organizations that are coming in, are they beholden to?
Specifically, what they're supposed to provide as part of their qualifications in their proposal is a description of the outreach they're going to be doing to local service organizations, nonprofits, schools. You know, they are supposed to indicate what groups they look to partner with.
And the point system thereof, that's just part of the check boxes in the point system that gives them qualifiers to be approved and supported? Perfect. You want me to get it back to you? Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, it's on the review comments. It's, are they reaching out to the local organizations?
And I have this suffices, I'll read it. So thank you so much. I got you, I'm with you. So for the record also, I'm a McDonough School of Business MBA candidate, Georgetown. So question, any of your planning board, do they have an MBA or anyone within the committee? Does anybody have a Master of Business Administration?
On planning board?
Correct.
I couldn't, I don't,
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know.
One
I
last-
don't know.
One last question. As far as your local municipality, do you all like have homecomings for your students or the children that come out of high school? Is there like a qualifier to bring them back to come into government, or like how does that process work? Do you have any of those type of programs?
We have
in the high school.
We have in the past, and I think after COVID, it kind of got derailed. But we did have, and I wasn't a part of it because when I got on here, COVID hit almost immediately. But we did have, Youth Day.
Youth and Government Day.
Yep.
Youth and Government Day?
Yes.
Okay. You remember what month?
Do you remember?
It was always in May, Youth and Government Day, every May.
And who oversaw that process? Was it more gov or school? Was it the gov?
It was a
combination.
Yeah, it was a combination.
So community government partnership kind of.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Yeah, shit.
Mr. Mayor? Jim Link, 676 Park Road, 763 Park Road. I'm going to be brief as I can possibly be. You guys have been patient, everybody's been patient. Anyway, three things. I was going to say more, but in the observance of quick comment. The resolution about the housing the immigrants, okay? Let me first state that the airport has absolutely nothing to do with what the resolution is. The airport does not belong to the federal government. The airport, for the record, belongs to the South Jersey Transportation Authority. Period. Okay? What belongs to the federal government is the technical center,
Right.
the
I
international park,
did
all
read
that
some of
stuff.
that, and then some of it is
which
lease,
exacerbates
whatever.
the problem because you've gotten rid of all that property that's associated with the airport. So I get it. But these are the kinds of things that when someone brings a resolution to the board, to the floor, I think it should be aired out. Okay? And that's exactly what Mrs. Link did, was try to bring it to the board, instead of being a knee-jerk, emotional reaction to something that is very important. I get it. That's why I think, it was good that you put it off and get more information so that you make a determined...
We didn't put it off.
Oh, you didn't? You ruled it. Sorry, well, too bad, my bad. Which is not good government, in my opinion. Secondly, the Community Development Director. I've stood here a couple times, and I guess you didn't take my advice, and that's okay, but there's no better incentive than making money. Now, this community development director is going to be salaried, right? Going to make a certain amount of money. Great. Well, what's going to motivate that person to go get business? That's called sales. And in my pitches before, I mentioned, pay this person a commission. I don't care if it's a full commission, a draw against commission, or a salary plus commission. Okay? But to make someone a set amount of money, that person's going to say, well, yeah, I did my job. And there's no incentive to get more. That's the only thing I want to bring up. In my opinion, as an international sales manager of marketing and sales, okay, that's the way we did it. The company offices did not make as much money or bring in as much business as the independent or my independent distributors around the world. That's the way it worked. Thirdly, cotton mill. It's a redevelopment project, if I am not mistaken. Or even if it's not, there's a thing called off-track development or off-track improvement, right? That goes to a lot of applications. They're going to be looking at that tower that the county has let go to dilapidation. Why not ask those developers, hey, your people are going to be, your 111 apartments are going to be looking at that tower, that monstrosity. Why not ask those developers?
The singing tower.
Huh?
What tower?
The lighthouse. Sorry. The lighthouse on Lake Lenape. Right down the river from what they're looking at. Maybe those developers would be interested in renovating that tower because we all know the county has no concern about it whatsoever. All right? So that's all I got. Thank you.
This lady's been standing.
She's been standing for a while.
That's Fred Akers' wife.
Hello, Julie Akers. I'm on the Great Egg Harbor River Council and the Watershed Association, and I see your resolution here. We're very happy to have awarded Hamilton Township $4,500 towards no littering signs and things. Given some of the situations that have happened, specifically the accident that happened with the ATV and a dirt bike out in one of these areas that we've been targeting with the dumping, we would like to say to you that those things are interconnected, and this money can certainly be used for no littering, no dumping, as well as more of a recognition of what your actual zoning ordinances are for the off-road, illegal off-road vehicle use. So we thank
That's been a discussion.
And I just want to let you know this
with the chief, and that could be one of the signs that we put up. It can list what our ordinance is about off-road vehicles. And
we're fully in support of that. So I just want to make sure you know it's not just about the littering, and we appreciate the efforts you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Evening. My name's Steve Gardocki, 62 Keller Way in Mays Landing, and I'm also a member of the Woods Landing Development. You heard from Mr. Heffron a little earlier with great optimism about getting our roads done. I'm sorry to say I don't share that optimism. He has been working very diligently, Mr. Heffron, in trying to get together with the project manager from Fernmore Homes and trying to get us answers as to when things are going to get done. We had a July meeting, HOA meeting, and we were very optimistic at that time that we were going to see a lot more progress done in the month of August, including our roads. We have significant issues left remaining to be done. We have roads to be done. We have pond issues to be resolved. We need a sign for Phase 5. I could go on and on with I don't have the availability of a punch list, so I can't go into more detail, but those are right at the top of the list. And just as a recap, in 2009, when the community signed over its rights as an HOA, we gave up all our rights. the township became responsible for the oversight of the completion of the development, not the HOA. You're holding the bonds. Last count I had was about $855,000 remaining in bonds, unless some slipped through the cracks at a meeting I missed. But I don't think anything has been released as of this point, which covers all 5 phases. I don't see the point of relying on good wishes from the project manager to Mr. Heffron. My question is, has a written agreement been signed by the township with Fernmore Homes as to complete what is going to be a final punch list that needs to be completed with a timeline established to get it done? Has that been done? Because you're holding the bonds, the township holds the bonds, you hold the gold. It's up to the township to enforce it to get it done. Now, it needs to be in writing. We don't need another handshake or another phone call to say it's getting done. I assume by now it's been 90 days since he closed his last houses. 90 days. Not much has happened over the summer. Recently, we've seen activity with a lot of sidewalk repair work getting completed, which was an encouraging sign that there is good intentions. However, we've had good intentions before, and we've had multiple promises broken by Mr. Fernbach as to our paving. And my concern is that we're going to drag it out, doing one thing on the punch list each month, and then, it's going to be too cold to pave again, which happened to us already once. Is there a timeline established by the township? It seems to me the only way we're going to get everything done is you're going to have to come down with a final list, say when it's, give them an appropriate period of time to get it done, and if it's not done, it's time to call the bonds. That will get his attention. That will get us what we need in our community. Not good intentions.
Without Bob Smith being here, I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not, I don't know if Brett, if you have any information.
Bob has a written punch list. I don't have a copy of it right now, but I can get a copy of it. I don't know if there's a timeline associated with the punch list, but I know they met last week or the week before, and they did come up with a final punch list to close the project out.
And we are holding some bonds.
Absolutely.
So that's our best bet. And that's why you saw me, I'm crossing my fingers. You know, I mean, nothing's guaranteed until it happens. You know, we've been, like you said, you've been promised a lot, and then it just doesn't happen.
We've kicked the can down the road for 14 years. It's time to get it done. I
And then-
respectfully request a copy of the final punch list as a homeowner and taxpayer. I could provide my email address, and you could email it or mail it to me. There's been a few floating around that go back to 21, 19. It's very old. So I'd like to know what's remaining to get done that he's agreed to do, so we could watch and see as it's getting completed. But our reliance is on you as the township to complete your oversight and make sure it gets done. And if you must use the bonds as your only leverage, so be it. Because we don't hold the bonds. You do.
And we haven't released, and I don't want to speak out of turn, because I can't remember the last time that we released any of the bonds over
Spend some time, because
at
I'm on
Woods
the
Landing.
bond releases. As
So-
a former lending officer, it doesn't really matter what, he can't afford to have $1,000 bond called. If he loses his bonding, he's got other active projects going, you have to use that leverage, then so be it, for the benefit of our community, because we need it done. The other
Okay.
community had a similar problem, seemed to have gotten done over on New York Avenue. So They got their roads paved. We would like our roads paved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys, Joe Venezia. As you know, I grew up in Mays Landing, and I always had deep roots over here. I live on the border of Mays Landing still. I still have a Mays Landing mailing address. In our town, we have 4 different post offices. But I have been to the last couple of meetings. As you know, I had an interest in something. And your cannabis issue that I'm listening to kind of reminds me of a song where everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And same holds true with the cannabis. People wanted it, but now nobody wants it in the backyard. So what I would propose, after listening to one of the members of the township over here, they said, was there 80, 81 possible licenses that could be made? What I think you guys may want to do is retool your ordinance. Make it definitive. You have an agricultural ordinance, you have a distribution, a warehouse, packaging, wholesale, and the other one, of course, is the walk-in retail sales. What you ought to do is make it very definitive. Say how many licenses you want in each one of those areas, and designate where you want those to be held at. And then have a public hearing on it so that way everybody is aware, because what you have right now, with all due respect, doesn't seem clear. And I think it's going to cause this township committee members nothing but heartache and grief for months, if not years to come. It's going to be a reoccurring problem over and over. It's going to hold you back from some of the progress that you do need to make in the town, because you're dealing with the same issues over and over, and that's the cannabis issue. So I think you guys may want to just get that a little bit more definitive, and I think it's going to make your lives a lot more easier. That's all I got to say. Oh, one other thing. The cotton mill jam. Years ago when it was discussed, there was supposed to be a restaurant downstairs. What happened to that?
Floodplain, correct?
Floodplain?
Parking issues with.
Am I speaking out of turn?
We don't know what the final plans are, so there could be a possibility of a restaurant on the property somewhere, but we don't have the plans finalized in front of us to know and phasing. So once it comes into the planning board and reviewed in front of the planning board, everybody will be able to see what's available at that
There
point.
was supposed to be some shops there and the restaurant and whatever else, but now I'm hearing that that's not happening.
Yeah, as of right now, I haven't seen the plans. So
The presentation that they made showed parking on the first floor.
yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Structure.
Mr. Mayor, just one final quick question on the property near Chancellor's Place in Industrial Park. So what if I understand you correctly, the Industrial Commission has final disposition of that contract. So Township Committee is not involved.
It hasn't even come, like I told you. I wrote the letter approving the sale.
I get it.
It hasn't come to us.
Okay, so-
Nothing has come to us.
Okay,
Because we're not accepting any RFQs for cannabis.
I understand.
If that's what they say that's what it's supposed to be. So nothing is happening.
Okay, I understand, and I follow that. So tomorrow, the Industrial Commission meets, so I can bring up the provisions in the contract with the 90 days. Industrial Commission will be prepared to answer that question, whether or not that contract has expired or is extended or whatever you plan on doing. Will you be there, Mr. Sandman?
I will.
Okay, so tomorrow, just to give you a heads up, the provisions of Green Mint, or what I guess it's better known as Atlantic Avenue, Hamilton. Okay, I think you know which one I'm talking about. So you'll be prepared if I ask the question, what is the disposition of the contract based on the terms? They should have an answer for that.
I will inform the commission to expect that question, and I'll look at it myself as well.
Okay, great. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Glad to.
Motion's up.
You guys are too slow.
Hi, Teresa DeRose from Laureldale. I do support cannabis. I do support medical marijuana. There are so many people that really, really need it, and this would be a good idea. This is actually a better idea than Jean's Farm Market. It's far out, but we're still going to get the revenue, and the revenue from cannabis and medical marijuana is substantial and will help out the whole community, you know, in the whole. As far as the airport being a little housing for the unvetted people, I think it's better to use that for our own local people who are homeless, veterans, or any other type of public use than unvetted, because unvetted means completely unvetted, as in health, tuberculosis, you know, lice. They have every kind of medical. We have to take in that cost because federally they're going to house them. We got all the rest of it. We got to school them, lawyers. You know, we cannot sustain that. So that it's good to not take them in.
Thank you.
Motion to close?
Second.
I have a motion to second. All those in favor? Aye. Against?